All right, welcome back to the Corporate Alchemist. I'm your host, the Reverend Todd Jackson, where we have conversations in practical spirituality. And our conversation today is dealing with the creation story. And you are the creator. Your words, your thoughts, they create. The greatest gift God gave to us is our mind. And our mind has the ability to create anything we want, anything we desire. So that's what we'll look at today is the creation story. You know, when you recognize who you are and you're in harmony with that, you have the ability to create. The problem that we've been faced with is that society has controlled your thoughts, has controlled the way you see things. So we'll look at this story. It says God created the heavens, the earth. He created the skies. He created animals. He created the trees. And eventually he said it was good. And that's the same thing you can do. You can speak and say, create the things that you want, and then you can declare that it is good. John 1:1 says, in the beginning was the Word was with God, the Word was God. And that word is basically a frequency, it's a tone, it's a vibration. And that's the same vibration that you have when you speak things into existence. We go to the creation story and say, God said, let there be. Let there be light. Let there be land in the midst of the, let there be land in the midst of the waters. Let there be night and day. Let there be fruit-bearing trees. And so all of these things were good. And the key there is to remember that the God that was speaking the creation, the earth into existence, is the God that resides and abides in you. And you can do the same thing. You have the same capability to create your own reality. And we look at the other characters in this story. We go to Adam and Eve, which all of this is an anthropomorphic story. These are parables. They are not to be taken literal. When you look at a story in the Bible, you should place yourself there, because there's a lesson in this story for you. You know, when the problem that has happened is the literal kills, but the spirit is bought when things are looked at. Life is brought into the situation when we look at it from spirit. What I mean by that is when you take something literal and you miss the essence of what it's really trying to say, then that's where we have fear that comes in, and we got everybody going to hell. We got people scared of stuff. We judging folks. We putting all kinds of things on people because we taking a scripture that's been literal. If we look at it just from a rational, logical way, how can a man be swallowed by a whale? The story of Jonah, that's a beautiful story. It has so many lessons in it. It has so many powerful, uplifting, to rise and expand your consciousness. Daniel in the lion den that didn't get eaten by lions. Noah in the ark. Two animals coming on the ark, a male and a female. That deals with you. That deals with the opposites, the duality within yourself, the male and female principle. The water on the ark, the water destroying the earth by water. That deals with transformation. That deals with a cleansing. So these stories are beautiful when you can understand and you can take the lessons from it and not try to be literal with it, which eventually leads you to being dogmatic, which gives you 30 and 40 different denominations within Christianity, or gives you 5, 6 different sects in Islam. Everybody has a perception and interpretation, precept upon precept upon precept. We all not going to see it the same way. And therefore you have to be open to, if somebody has a different viewpoint or sees it a different way, that it doesn't discredit yours. And that's the problem that we've had. So when we look at this story, what is the symbolism? What does it mean? What does it mean to me? And my interpretation today, hey, somebody can have something different, that's fine. But when we look at Adam and Eve, what does, what God created Adam and Eve, we go back to Genesis, first chapter 26, 27 verse, and he said he made man in his image. And basically, everything that God is equipped with, we are equipped with. So when we look at this story, let's look at the relationship that Adam and Eve had. Now we see that God has created the Garden of Eden, a place of harmony, a place of peace, a place of creativity. And the two characters in the Garden of Eden are Adam and Eve. So basically, Adam and Eve is really one and the same. They are the two principles within you. Remember again, I said these stories are about you. We're not going to get caught up on two people, Adam and Eve, trying to figure out they're two real people. What were their real names? Where was the Garden of Eden? We know if the Garden of Eden actually existed, it would have existed in Northeast Africa, in the area of Uganda, Sudan, Ethiopia, Egypt. But that's not what we're trying to get across with this. What we're trying to get across is to understand the principle of what the Garden of Eden represent. So we have two people living in the Garden of Eden. Those two people reside in you. The first one, we got a male principle, we got a female principle. We got Adam, which represents the conscious. We got Eve, which represents the subconscious. We're dealing with the subconscious, which deals with the emotion, the symbolism, the things you can touch. We're dealing with the conscious, which is the story. Those things that come together. There's also scripture says when two touch and agree, he said that Christ will come. So basically what this is saying, when your conscious and your subconscious comes together, then Christ will show up. Basically the thing you need to create. So let me break that down more in layman terms. When your intellect and your emotion are balanced, then you're living in harmony. But when your intellect is off, or you too emotional about a situation and you're not thinking things through, then you're off balance. If you're just thinking intellectually about something and not letting your intuition come in, then you're off balance. Then you're not living in Eden, in the Garden of Eden. Because if we go and we look at this story, a serpent came to talk to Eve. We know no real snake came up and talked to Eve. No real snake offered her an apple or a piece of fruit. But what we're now beginning to look at is Adam and Eve were now dealing in their ego. They were no longer balanced. So now Eve was in competition with Adam. Now there was a struggle. She was trying to sway him to do something that he didn't want, and he couldn't sway her. So basically, they were out of balance. This has nothing to do with don't make this no chauvinistic thing that that's why men are better than because the woman brought the world down. That's a colonized interpretation. That's a chauvinistic interpretation. That's not Aboriginal people's concept. That's a European Western concept. Again, remember, bringing fear and death and judgment into these stories is the wrong way to approach it. So we see Adam and Eve, when their ego took control, then God came in. The God in you comes in and say, where are you? You're off balance. You're too far to the left, you're too far to the right. Now because of this, eating from the tree of good and evil, which is a whole nother story, they were put out of the garden. They were put out of the Garden of Eden, which was a place of harmony, which was a place of creativity. Everything that they touched turned to gold. So now they were out in a chaotic situation. So that's one way to look at this story. And the way to be able to, the main ingredient for all of this is meditation. Is whenever you feel yourself getting off track, then you need to sit down somewhere, clear your mind, concentrate and focus on the things that you want to see in place, the things you want to bring into existence for yourself. So that's one viewpoint of Adam and Eve, and there's plenty more. That's just what I got time today for. So you're living in harmony with yourself. You bring your intellect and your emotion, your intuition in balance, and you're being in harmony. As we conclude our creation story, remember that your words are vibrations, they're tones, they're frequencies to create. You create your universe. You create the things around you with your words, your thoughts, and your emotions. We look again at Adam and Eve. They symbolize your intellect and your emotion. The two parts of you, the duality of you coming together and being one. And when you are a balanced individual, which you do through meditation, which you should do on a daily basis, to still your mind, to get your thoughts together, to focus on the things that you want, then you are now living in the Garden of Eden, which is a place of harmony, which is a place of peace, which is a place of creative thought, creative manifestation. That is what the Garden of Eden is. You only get kicked out of the garden when you bring drama in, when you start talking, gossiping, when you're negative, when you're speaking death instead of life. That's when you get booted out the garden. Now you're living in chaos. Now you're living in confusion. Now you're living in drama. So we want to stay away from that. So appreciate you again for joining me. Again, my book, Intended Design, A Journey to Self-Awareness. You can get it on lulu.com, amazon.com. Pick up a copy. And until we talk again, peace.